what is able to be listened to on the radio and TV. A few decades ago, it wasn't allowed to see an underwear or bra commercial. That would have been the whole culture would have been aghast. And I think infidelity is just another thing that's tolerated that wouldn't have been tolerated a few decades ago.
Wasn't even talked about.
Or talked about, certainly. And now it's so we live in a much more tolerant society, for better or worse. That's a two-edged sword. As far as myself, I am an active outdoors guy. I love to snowboard and snowshoe.
Well, you look like you're in good shape.
Thanks. I bicycle. I rock climb. Living in Vegas, it's a rock climber's paradise. And I love to travel. I've been to 43 different countries.
Oh, my.
And love to explore the world and learn about new cultures and how they live their lives. I'm planning to go in a couple months to the South Pacific, visit a friend, go to the island of Yap and Guam and Saipan and Palau and see those cultures of the South Pacific.
I guess that helps you with your stressors, too, in life, because I know you spend so much of your time talking to people, listening to people. And what do you do for burnout? So you travel.
All those things I just mentioned are
and
great.
And they really help.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you time and a time out.
Indeed.
What would you say your advice to couples about infidelity is? Coming to your office, and what advice can you give couples today about it?
Come in for an evaluation, first individually. Like I said before, there could be something going on, like a medical condition causing a mania that's, making them behave recklessly, that could be treated quite easily with a mood stabilizer. We'll go over, their whole psychosocial history, just who they are and what they're coming into the relationship with and what they might be getting out of the affair. And then once I've dealt with them individually, and that can be tricky. It's an ethical thing to treat two people. A lot of times I'll see one. There's one member of the couple that wants help and wants to get better or address a symptom.
So they don't usually come in together. It would be the individual that comes in, or do they come in as a couple?
Usually it's one individual that comes in, and they're having problems.
Is that usually the person cheating or betrayed?
It's usually the betrayed one. Yeah.
I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
The cheater stays away.
They're feeling bad often because they got caught.
Do you ever see the lover?
I have, actually. Yes. The typical stereotype often holds true. They're lonely. They have issues of self-esteem. They don't feel worthy to be in a relationship often, and they're feeling like they're getting as good as they can get. Maybe they're not even worthy to have a spouse or someone they can depend on, and that they somehow deserve to suffer and they're not worthy. So I have seen that many
Last
times.
week we had the other woman on, and I've always said, I think you're worth more than you're settling for. And it really depends, because many of the other women that I've known, and having been one too, actually get your needs met. And if you're not getting it met, you shouldn't be in the relationship, whether it's your long-term committed relationship or your marriage. And I just believe that you try now and do one relationship at a time. And especially in Vegas, it's a little bit difficult because there is so much skin and people are working 2 jobs. And it's hard to keep a relationship whole and a marriage together. It's tested every single day. Do you find it more prevalent in places that you would live, such as Las Vegas or large cities, than rural areas?
I have practiced in several different states, California, Colorado, Hawaii, and now Nevada. So I've seen a lot of different cultures and people. Vegas does attract a lot of risk takers, a lot of thrill seekers, people that thrive on excitement.
And it's very transient in a lot of ways, too. People are in and out. So you would see it. It's harder here, I see, to keep your marriage whole and a relationship healthy. And how can myself, other caregivers, professionals help? Because I say this each week on the show, don't isolate. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel ashamed. I always say if you're too embarrassed to talk about it, then be too embarrassed to do it. But I want people to have a place to go, to share, to listen. That's why we're really doing this show, so that people can connect and listen to other stories. They grow from it. They learn what works and what doesn't work. And to have various experts here to share the message and information and have people become more aware. People just don't think it's going to happen to them. And it can happen to anyone. Do you not see everyone as vulnerable?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone is vulnerable to infidelity and the fallout. Like I mentioned, I see children and adolescents as well as adults, and it often affects the children harder than it does either parent that's involved in the infidelity. They can become suicidal. I've seen that. And I mentioned their grades drop. They start acting out. They punch holes in the wall. They destroy their property, their parents' property, smashing windows. Everyone is affected. The grandparents, the
animals, the dogs.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have seen also the children. They are only real victims, because I say that whether we've been betrayed or betraying, we elect to be that victim. We don't have to stay, especially for a betrayed spouse, don't have to stay in that role. And there are positive interventions for you. And I've seen so many teenagers so depressed and really so ashamed. It's far different when it's in a movie or a soap opera than when it's in your home. And they love both parents most of the time. They find it very difficult because what happens is they get so caught up in their parents' situation. Both parents tend to use them, and there's such a tug-of-war, and it's really sad because they often suffer silently. I know especially small children don't have the ability to go be with friends or get out and be away from the home for a time, and they're shuffled around, and it's very scary for them.
Yes, I have worked on cases with lawyers, and I've evaluated members, all the members that are involved, the parents and the children. I'm actually a court approved on their list of evaluators for like child custody and different issues, and it's really devastating to see the toll that infidelity takes on every member, the husband, the wife, the children, and then the ensuing custody battles. The kids are torn one way or the other. That you need to decide, well, who's going to get primary custody, or is there going to be a joint custody? The finances, who's going to get what, and it just drags on and on for months, sometimes years, and it's really heartbreaking to see everyone suffer so much.
What suggestion do you have for families about this situation, what they might do?
Of course, if it's preventable, that's the best place to start.
That's the key.